Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how I did the daughter's cookie set. Some of these techniques I covered in a previous video, so if you saw that one, here's your chance to double down. I hand cut this entire set using inspiration from some of my old hairstyles and hairstyles I've seen on girls all over. I will list the links and guides to all the stuff that I use to create these cookies in the description. So let's get started. Here's what you'll need. Okay, let's start with our girl with the bobos. The first thing you want to do is fill in her face with flood consistency icing. Make sure to add her part. We will let that crust over and then we will add her ears using the same flood consistency icing. Let that crust over as well. Then we will fill in her hair with darker brown flood consistency icing, making sure to fill in the tiny corners, but avoid covering her part. You can drag a little bit of the icing down to give her some sideburns. To do her twist, I use thick consistency icing, and let me tell you, this took about 5 tries to get this part right. So to start her twist, we're going to pipe a short curved line. Then we're going to pipe a diagonal line right on top of it. From this point, we will continue to pipe diagonal lines right next to each other, going down until we get the desired length of the twist. Make sure they are really close together. Here you will see I was planning on giving her another twist that would hang from the back, but that did not work out. So, on to the other side. I followed the same steps. Make a small curved line, then put a diagonal line on top. Then pipe the following diagonal lines really close together until I got the length of the twist I wanted. To add her bobos, I use medium consistency pink icing. So to do this, you just take your piping bag, make a little dot, and squeeze pressure on it to make the circles bigger. I gave her 2 bobos on the top and 2 bobos on the bottom of her twist. The ones on the bottom I made smaller because of course your hair is thinner at the end of the twist. Now I add some here to the tips. Now here's a little tip I do when I make mistakes with my icing. I let it dry and then I go back in with my Scribe tool and I scrape it off. But be very careful not to touch any other part of the cookie. And use a paintbrush to wipe away the royal icing dust. Please do not blow on anyone's cookie. Second, we have our side ponytail gal. We are going to use the wet on wet technique for her, which is using 2 different color icings on top or next to each other before letting them dry in between. So we will fill her face in with brown flood consistency icing and immediately follow that with a deeper brown icing, which is the same flood consistency for her hair. Use the Scribe tool to pull some of those baby hairs down, but not too much. We want it to look natural. Let her face crust a bit and then add her ears. Once the whole area is dry, we can move on to her ponytail. Now, I love this style. I even have a few pictures of me with my side ponytail with my head tilted. One day I may share them on social media. But for now, we keeping those under wraps. Anyway, to achieve her style, we're going to use thick/stiff consistency brown icing. We are going to use that icing to create a line of spirals, starting from where the deep brown flood ended, and take that all the way down to the end of the cookie. Now, since I wanted the curls to be looser, the spirals are not packed close together. Now you can do as many layers as you like to make it as full as you wish. Once you're done with your spirals, you can add a bobo, or in this case, a few lines for a scrunchie. I use the pink medium consistency icing for that. Now she gets her earrings and she's ready to go. That was me snapping my fingers. This cookie is from my Jingle Jangle set. A few people asked me about her, so I decided to add her in here. We're going to fill her face in with flood consistency icing and use the same icing to make lines where you want her parts to be. Let this crest over, and then we're going to use a deeper color flood icing to fill in the spaces in between the lines. Once all of this is dry, we're going to use our medium consistency icing to make her puffs. Now you see my hand shaking super quick as I'm doing the circles, but that's because this video is sped up. But in real time, I am shaking my hand in all different directions to give her puffs some texture. They kind of look a little like meatballs to me. Anywho, I did go back to fill in the puffs some more because I like them really full. She gets her jewels, and on to the next is our beaded girl. Man, she brings back so many memories. I can hear the beads as I make her. So we fill her face and her parts in with flood consistency icing. We let that dry. Now to start her style, I had to flip her upside down to make sure her top braid was right. To create braids on a cookie, I use thick/stiff consistency icing. I pipe out a dot and then drag. Right next to it, I pipe out another dot and drag. This makes what looks kind of like a heart. Right under that, in the area where I dragged, I pipe another dot, drag. Right next to it, I pipe another dot and drag. I repeat this same sequence over and over until I get the length of the braid I want. For her, I did one side longer than the other because she's supposed to be tilting her head to the side. So the side she is leaning on will be longer than the other. With her beads, I use pink and lavender medium consistency icing. Starting right under the braids, I made dots alternating between the two colors. Man, I can hear the clinking as I do this. I also filled the blank parts of the cookie area with the pink and lavender dots to represent the beads that would be in the back of her head. Clank, clank, can you hear it? I used the detail brush with a bit of brown dust to put in between the braids to give it more definition and a little bit of a deeper color. I gave her 2 different size earrings because when your head is tilted, sometimes your braids will fall over and cover your jewelry. Clank, clank. These little details matter. I really wish I had the sound instead of me making it myself. 5th, we have our girl with the buns and braid out. We start her the same way as we did the others, filling in her face with flood consistency icing. But since she's on a slight profile, we only did the curves on one side of her hairline, and the part on top of her head has a curve as well. Once her face is dry, we flood in her hair with a darker color. Now I made the side away from me smaller to reflect the position of her face. Technically, This was just an accident because originally she was supposed to be facing forward, but I didn't realize my mistake until her face was already flooded and dried. I think she looks even cuter facing this way. To fill in the back and the sides of her hair, I used the same color royal icing and I spread it all over the blank cookie with a damp paintbrush. This is to make sure her hair looks fuller in case when I'm doing my layers there are any gaps. We let this set, and once it's set, I take my thick/stiff consistency icing and make a zigzag line all the way down in the direction I want the hair to fall. At the top of her head, I create little zigzags that will give the appearance of the side/back of her head. We do this over and over in layers so it will create that braid out/knot out/deep wave look. Once the sides and the back of her head are done, I add her 2 buns. Now I created her buns using the same consistency icing as the back of her hair, or the zigzag part. I take the icing and squeeze mini swirls on the top of each smooth section. Now I had to remove the first bun because I had to remember the side that's closest to me has to be bigger since she's on a slight profile. And remember, you can make these buns as big as you want or as small as you want. Okay, she gets her jewels. Our 6th cookie is our little locks lady. She has the classic 2 pigtail style, but done with locks. We're going to fill in her face, then her ears, and then we're going to make lines which are going to be her parts. Now I didn't follow the lines that I originally drew on the cookie because I had to make sure her parts lead to her pigtails. So if you do this style, make sure that the lines sort of lead towards each pigtail in a triangle form. Now how many lines you do is up to you. We will let this dry. Now I know you noticed some dark spaces on the cookie, but that's because I did her hair a few times too. Now I use thick consistency icing in a darker color to fill in the spaces in between her parts. If you have to do more than one line in between these spaces, that's cool because it looks realistic. To create this style, usually more than one lock is on top of each other, leading to the ponytail. Now for the pigtails themselves, I use the same thick consistency icing and squeeze and just let it flow, making swirls, spirals, and wiggles to get the wrapped up look, but at the same time, they're curls. Now, I never had this style before, but I saw it on several little girls, and it is so cute. Now, I was trying to dust on some baby hair, but I got a little carried away. I still think she looks so pretty. Look at her dangling earring. It's so cute. Last but certainly not least, we have our Afro baby. She's so cute. I don't know why we change our voice like that for baby. But moving on, we're going to flood her face the same way we did all the others with flood consistency icing. We're going to take some medium consistency icing and outline the rest of the cookie and fill in her hair. Now, as I'm filling in her hair, I'm using the piping bag to make swirls and zigzags to create the texture. You can even use your Scribe tool to do this. Her fro is just so cute. Now, I wanted to give her a bow, so I used my silicone mold and a bit of modeling chocolate to make one. I dusted the bow with a blue sterling pearl dust. The video doesn't do this color justice. It is so pretty. So I put some royal icing on the back of the bow and then placed it on her hair. Somehow I knocked off a little bit of the color, so I wanted to add more. Use a smaller brush because I got blue all in her hair. Here's a look at the full set as I get them IG pic ready. If you enjoyed my video, please like, subscribe, and comment. Come and talk to me. Bye guys.